Mama, have you noticed how quickly your mood can shift when your child melts down? One minute you're calm, and the next you're tense or snapping, and then guilt rushes in. You've tried tips, books, prayers, but the overwhelm keeps creeping back in. In today's episode, we're going to be breaking down how to strengthen your emotional resilience so you can stop feeling hijacked by your feelings and instead show up anchored, present, and peaceful, even in the middle of the biggest meltdowns. Mama, are you tired of meltdowns stealing the peace in your home? Welcome to Parenting Beyond Meltdowns. I'm Amanda, a Christian life coach and a mom of a strong-willed neurospicy teen. If you've tried everything from consequences, parenting books, crying out to the Father, and still feel like you're failing, you're not alone. Inside this podcast, we'll explore how faith, emotional regulation, and connection work together so that you can parent from a place of peace, even in the hardest moments. You don't have to hold it all together here. This is a safe space to lay it all down. Welcome. Today I want to read you a review from Carrie Hunt. Whether you're a mom or a grandma, this podcast is so encouraging. Amanda is real, experienced, and has studied her topic well. She lives it. She's reliable. I'll continue to listen for encouragement and a good dose of upbeat humor. Thank you so much, Carrie. If you'd like me to read your review on the podcast, head over to Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the bottom where it says ratings and reviews. Then you click the 5-star review. And right below that, you can actually write your own review there, and then I'll read it on an episode. Leaving reviews help mamas just like you find this podcast, so thank you. There was a time when I felt like a pressure cooker. My child's big emotions would hit and mine would explode right alongside. I'd pray, read Christian parenting books, cry in the shower, and yet nothing seemed to work. What I didn't realize was that my own emotions weren't the enemy. They were simply unprocessed, stacked up like rocks, and a heavy backpack on my back. That backpack made every meltdown feel heavier and every day feel harder. When I learned how to notice, allow, and process my emotions instead of stuffing them or fixing them, something shifted. I became calmer. My child felt safer, and connection began to grow. Mama, if you're feeling this way too, you're not broken. You're simply carrying more than you were designed to hold. And I want you to know that there's a gentler way forward. I'm reminded that in Matthew 11:28 and 29, Yeshua said, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Last week, we looked at how our thought life directly shapes your parenting, especially in those meltdown moments. This week, I wanted to add, if you are having a hard time recognizing your specific thoughts, another way that I could phrase it would be to ask yourself if there's any reoccurring sentence that your brain keeps stewing on. That sentence or sentences are what I'm wanting you to become aware of. Today, we're going to be moving forward and look at the part our emotions play in this process. As I said, our thoughts create emotions, and then those emotions drive us to the action that we do or do not take in our lives, more specifically, our relationship with our child. As we dive into emotions, I want to start with an observation. I think most of us have been conditioned, especially in church circles, to believe that our emotions are bad and not trustworthy. There's always that one person who's saying that the heart is deceitful and wicked and shaming us for being human and having emotions. Newsflash, Yeshua had emotions. He wept when his best friend died. He sweat blood in the Garden of Gethsemane at the thought of going to the cross. Anyone else remember the temple and the money changers? He was upset. He did not like what they were doing in his father's house. And while I will agree that we should not let our off-the-cuff emotions lead us, I would ask, can we listen to what they are trying to tell us? Today, I want to propose, what if your emotions are actually one of your most powerful assets? Our emotions, if we let them, can be one of our greatest superpowers. Our emotions are the energy that fuels every action that you take, the vehicle that the Father gives you to experience your life to the fullest. What if I told you that in order to expand your life, you also had to be able to expand your willingness to feel all of your emotions, the desirable and the undesirable? Yes, you heard me, even the ones we don't like. We were not created to only feel and experience positive emotions, but all of them, even the ones that we label as negative or undesirable. We've been fed a lie that we are supposed to be happy all of the time, but that's not how real life works. This isn't about teaching you how to be happy all of the time. What I want to teach you is what I believe will actually serve you best, which is how to be okay experiencing all of our emotions, to be fully human. Oftentimes, when you feel stuck, it's because you're not allowing your emotions to actually flow through you. So let's start at the beginning. What are emotions? Emotions are just vibrations in your body. They move through when allowed to. That's right. When we allow them to move through, most of the time we're just suppressing them. And that looks like a lot of unprocessed grief, stress, and it stores up in our body, which can look like headaches, tension, and burnout. Your thoughts create emotional energy, and those vibrations start in your mind and they travel through your body, and then that energy fuels your life. Your internal experience of your life is completely dependent on how you think about your external experience. As I've said, emotional energy that you generate can become trapped in your body. Let me tell you, your body is all too willing to store no negative emotion. A doctor once told me that when people are coming off of emotion-blocking medications like antidepressants, that oftentimes they experience very intense emotional pain afterwards because now they're having to feel all the unprocessed emotions that they never processed while on the medication. Isn't that crazy how our bodies remember even when we don't? It's almost like they were designed that way. This is why it's so important to become emotionally resilient and to be willing to process all of our emotions. If we are not willing to learn how to process emotions, we will pay the ultimate price in our bodies and in our relationships. I want to stop for a moment. I want to add that our emotions are not good or bad. They're just messengers trying to tell us something. Just like behavior is communication, our emotions are trying to communicate something to us. The question is, are we willing to listen? This episode's going to be shorter today because we're going to do a second part next week that's going to be going over how to actually allow and process our emotions because there was just so much information here. I didn't want to overload you. Today we talked about becoming aware of the thoughts that you think on repeat and the emotions that they create. You learned that emotions are not bad. They are messengers pointing you towards something deeper. This week, it's about simply paying attention, gathering information, and beginning to allow your emotions instead of stuffing them down. So your challenge is this week, each day, to set aside 3 minutes and to write down, what am I thinking right now and what emotion is that thought creating? There's no judgment. It's just noticing. Awareness is your first step to freedom. Next week, we're going to be going deeper. I'll show you exactly how to process those emotions so you can lighten your heavy backpack that you've been carrying. If you want to go deeper into encouragement like this, join my Insiders list. It's where I share faith-filled reminders, emotional regulation tips, and real-life tools to help you stay anchored in who God says you are. The link is in today's show notes. Hey, sweet mama, I hope you loved today's episode. Can you do me a favor? If this episode spoke to your heart, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a mama in your life who needs to know they are not alone? Also, would you leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts for me? It blesses my heart to know that this show is giving you hope in hard moments. All right, I'm off to grab some protein because love and grace flows easier when you're not just running on fumes and coffee. I'll meet you back here next week for another honest and hope-filled conversation. In the meantime, mama, stay rooted in faith and anchored in love.